All right, everyone, we start off today with Ukraine general update time. There's one bit of really big news here, technically two, although one of the bits is only semi-related to Ukraine. It involves the Hungarian elections, of course, with Viktor Orban. We'll start with the first big news, which is it appears the Russians are continuing to pull back from Kiev. I look at it, I am skeptical of the Russian claim of, well, we always meant to do that. That was just to control the situation and focus on the east and the south. It doesn't make sense when you really think about it. If their only focus is the eastern provinces, why go around Kiev where you know that there's a higher density of potential militia and so forth, and a lot of concentrated actual military there, because it's their capital. They're going to defend it more vigorously than anything else. Doesn't make sense to go into the hornet's nest there when you can feasibly send a small force in as a distraction, or just use air power, as opposed to having a 40-mile-long column involved with it. That doesn't make sense. And they got the shit kicked out of them. The Russians are winning on most of these fronts, but around Kiev, they have managed to stall out effectively. So that's the big thing now. As they withdraw from outlying areas, the suburbs in the outer Kiev region, the metropolitan region, we'll call it. The Ukrainians are now claiming that there's evidence of a massacre in the wake of them leaving. That is, that either on command or maybe some rogue elements within the Russian military, they slaughtered hundreds of people as they were leaving some of these regions. And in wartime, this can happen. An occupying force, it's under stress, maybe it's demoralized or something, it snaps, and you get some low field commander ordering his men to just shoot everyone. We're not taking prisoners today. Fucking kill them. It's possible. It's also possible that some of those are Russians. It's possible that some of those were just bodies that they're finding that were killed in the fighting locally. And that won't become clear. When people immediately jump to the conclusion, yes, it's a war crime, Russia bad, that's because they're victims of propaganda. It would be like if people immediately jumped to well, it's a false flag, the Ukrainians butchered a bunch of people to try to get the West to go to war with Russia. That would be a knee-jerk, propagandized reaction. We don't know the situation. It'll take months for them to investigate how these people even died, because these sorts of things are very slow. The Ukrainians can't be trusted to deliver an honest appraisal of the situation. Because, I mean, even though that appraisal may be true, it could be that it's untrue and it's propaganda. The Russians aren't going to give you an honest estimate. Oh yeah, we had our soldiers massacre like 400 or 500 people while we left. Ha ha ha. It's not going to happen. So you need independent groups. The problem is all of those inevitably have a bias, number one, and number two, they are very, very slow. You'll remember the Syrian chemical weapons attack story. UN panel initially said, well, Assad gassed a bunch of people. We then found out that at least in one of those instances it was accidental. It was the bombing of a chemical plant. And in some cases it looks like the rebels probably deployed the chemical weapons. Where they got them is not entirely clear. They may have occupied a Syrian stockpile. They may have come from an outside group as well. And we've also got to talk about the ruble, because it's pretty much recovered from its previous levels. And it had collapsed, and really when people are saying, well, the Russian economy is strong again, no, that's their currency. I hate to tell you that, but currency can be bought and sold and speculated, which means that it's being bumped up by speculation. And it'll probably go up and down for a while. The volatility will matter. Number two, if you look at the other aspects of the economy, they're still much shittier, especially the consumer economy. Unemployment, you realize that when virtually all of the Western countries have divested themselves, it will tend to affect unemployment too. That will be a lingering problem. Although the Russians effectively nationalized all the McDonald's and now it's called something else, and they're selling the same food, but it's no longer McDonald's. I don't know. So I guess that's not new unemployment. Maybe they'll pay more. The progressives pretty soon will be hailing Russia and want to bring back the Soviet Union. Oh, wait, they already do. And then we got to talk about Orban. Now, this is big news. The Hungarian election was held, and Viktor Orban, the, I think now 4-time incumbent, won with 71% of the vote. It wasn't even close. He had a whole coalition of other groups coalesce together to try to stop him. They couldn't even crack a third. He got a supermajority of the Hungarian vote with relatively high turnout. Now, Orban's interesting. He's sort of like an Erdogan character. He's got the egotistical, self-serving side, number one. He's also got the precarious economic situation must straddle the fence thing going on. Much like Erdogan has always hesitated to go toe-to-toe with the Ruskies until recently when he's like, well, there's nothing we can do anymore. We've got to close the straits to Russian ships in a marginally effective move, as we've seen around Crimea at the moment. Viktor Orban has an economy that is massively reliant on Russian oil. The Hungarian economy would be throttled out of existence without it. The problem for the EU is something that I've analyzed before. This is why this is big news. At first, you see all the people saying, well, the Orban's a threat to democracy by winning a democratic vote with a supermajority. Apparently, the Hungarian people approve of his message, which is, hey, I'm not going to antagonize Russia any further. No, I'm not on Russia's side. I'm just saying that our economy can't weather it, so shut up. It was funny. There was a bit of propaganda. You'll see this in the legacy media probably if you search around. That Orban said that Zelensky was an opponent of his, and they're taking that out of context as if to mean that he's siding with Putin. What he actually meant is that during the election, the fact that Russia had invaded Ukraine and Zelensky's opposition to Orban's various commentary on it was used as campaign material against him. So he's not siding with the Russians. He's saying, look, this outside group is constantly whining about me, and I have to fight, multiple groups. Not all of them are even Hungarian. It's a Hungarian election. That's what he meant. So propaganda alert. Fact check, mostly false. He said that, but it's completely being used out of context. And I'm not an Orban fan necessarily, but, if you believe in the nationalist side of things, he's your man for ideological reasons. And if you believe in the liberal side of things, he won the democratic election there with a supermajority. There's nothing you can do about it. You'll have to deal with the fact that Orban's there. And he's currently pissing off the rest of the Visegrad group, by the way. I think that the EU will begin to fracture partially because of this. I said before, it's fucking half a decade almost ago, I think now, around the time of Brexit, actually before that, that the EU, the inequalities between the different nations as far as what goods they need, what kind of fuel problems they have, how much energy they've got, how much relative wealth, their purchasing power locally, etc. These things will rip the EU apart. Now what will happen? Let's say that you've got a political bloc. So here's the two possibilities. Orban goes rogue. For instance, we'll use this as the example. Orban goes rogue and says, I'm not sanctioning them. I like Putin. Fuck the EU. I don't have to listen to you. He goes rogue. Maybe they get kicked out of the EU. Let's say that he doesn't, and the Hungarian economy begins to collapse, because it would. The Western Europeans will have to rally to pay the Hungarians to keep their economy afloat. They'll have to do this while their own unemployment rates skyrocket, while their fuel costs double or triple, while their inflation certainly hits double digits, as in some parts of Europe it already has. Their people are not going to want to send billions of euros rather, to the Hungarians because of the difference, the vast difference between the cultural enclaves of Eastern and Western Europe. They see the Eastern Europeans as more backwards, etc., in Brussels. The Eastern Europeans see the Western Europeans, again, we're talking about their politicians and leaders at least, as decadent, as being greedy. So the two getting mashed together, it's very, very difficult to tackle centralized issues like this. You're not going to get a central message. And as you attempt to centralize European authority further, then you alienate the national governments. And then you get Brexit parties, you get UKIP. And therein lies the problem. The EU will eventually become a failed experiment, or it will become a massive authoritarian bloc, and it'll resemble the Soviet Union more than it does liberal democracies. That is the truth. And it'll crush the economies of half of Europe in the process. What should be done? The EU should be completely dissolved and replaced with a looser military alliance. You already got the NATO framework. You can have a common market and free travel. They can organize that themselves. But having a singular centralized response to external stimuli is a ticking time bomb. I know I'm going a little bit off of the main subject of this video. I just thought that I would weigh in on that and the gravity of the situation with regards to Russia invading Ukraine, which in turn was a problem centralized at the US NATO level. It's very, very complex, as you can see. So yeah, I mean, congrats to Orban. Nobody can claim it's illegitimate. They'll probably be claiming that the election was fraudulent. Well, Putin helped him win the election, just like he did Donald Trump. You watch, they'll probably go with that narrative because there's no other narrative to go with. Now, the ruble is recovered. Again, take that with an economic grain of salt. Russia pulling back. Again, we're not sure whether the Russian line about why is propaganda or not. Whether the Ukrainians are right or not in the war crimes allegations remains to be seen. Again, this is a news update, but as you can see, virtually none of it is actually objectively clear. This is the fog of war effect. And people who are taking up definitive, hardened stances beyond, hey, I don't think that Ukraine should be invaded because I'm anti-war, or something basic like that, which is my line, anyone going for anything beyond that that's concrete, it's impossible. You don't know what you're being told is true, no matter which media source you're listening to, no matter which national or diplomatic source is the one giving you the news. Because it's all propaganda, even when it's true it's propaganda. It's just spun a little bit. That's about all. Peace out.